Alright, so today I'll be going over some exercises that you can do to kickstart your fitness or calisthenics journey, whether you're a beginner or an intermediate person. Each one of these exercises will also have a variation, just in case some of the exercises that I'm doing are a little too advanced for you. I will also follow through on these exercises until you master them, and basically that means doing 10 to 15 reps. Or if you're doing the variation, I would continue doing this exercise until you're finally able to do the exercises that I'll be talking about in this video. Well, welcome back to the Hard Knock Fit channel. My name is Victor, and the first exercise that I'll be going over is the push-up. All right, so starting off with the push-up, this is a very classic exercise that you've probably been doing since you were in elementary school PE class. Now, it is a great exercise for your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. So you want to be very mindful when you're doing this exercise when it comes to your form. When you set up for the push-up, you want to make sure that your hands are maybe a little wider than shoulder width apart. And you also don't want your hands to be too high above your shoulders or too low beneath your shoulders. You also want to call upon your core muscles and keep your core engaged throughout every single rep of this exercise. And what I mean by that is you don't want your butt to be too high, or you don't want your butt to sink to the ground. You want to keep your back and your legs and your butt straight. Think about it like a ramp. And when you're going down, you're going to at least a 90-degree angle before you push and you go for that full extension. You want to go for a full range of motion. You do not want to rush through this exercise like a lot of people do. If this one is too hard for you, I would suggest putting your knees to the ground and performing it that way. Master that, and then you can do the regular push-up. So next up, we have the Pike push-up, which is a great exercise for your shoulders. And if you've never heard of the Pike push-up, I don't blame you. I never heard of it either until I started doing calisthenics. But unfortunately for the Pike push-up, there really is no variation for it. So if it's too hard for you, I would just continue working on the regular push-up until you're able to do about 10 to 12 reps on the regular push-up. Now, when it comes to the form, the Pike push-up will require you to keep your legs and your back straight, and you think of it like a triangle. You want to keep your butt as high as you can, and the hardest part of this exercise, besides pressing, will also be to keep your legs straight. And also you want to make sure that your hands or your arms are about shoulder width apart, and when you're pressing, you're going to a 90-degree angle, and try to get your head as close as you can to the ground, but just make sure you do not fall on your face. Which leads us to the pull-up, which is another classic exercise I'm sure you're very familiar with. And the pull-up works out your back. It is a great back exercise, and you'll be feeling it mostly on your lats, and it does have a lot of scapular retraction. And basically what that means is you'll be pulling on all of those back muscles when you're performing this exercise. So when it comes to the form, you want to go ahead and go about shoulder width apart, right? And as you're pulling yourself up, you want to go ahead and hold that position for at least a second before descending all the way down. And when you go all the way down, I mean go all the way down, right? You want to go ahead and extend those arms all the way, so that way you're getting that full range of motion. Now, when you're doing the pull-up, this exercise right here requires you to do a lot of scapular retraction, and it'll work out a lot of your lats. So if it's too hard for you, I would recommend starting with the inverted row, which is another great exercise, but it is a little bit easier than the pull-up. And then for the inverted row, this is a great exercise. Even if you could do the pull-up, I would still suggest doing the inverted row because it's just such a great exercise for your back. Now, when doing the inverted row, you want to go ahead and align the bar with your chest. And you also want to keep your legs straight in front of you. And when you're ready to perform this exercise, you want to go ahead and retract your scapula, which basically means pull your shoulder blades back, pull your shoulder blades together. Pull yourself up, and when you go down, extend fully with your arms and depress your scapula. So relax those back muscles, and then when you're ready to do it again, you go ahead and retract, pull those shoulder blades back together, and then pull yourself back up. Then we have the dips. On this exercise, it'll be targeting your triceps, front delt, and of course, your chest. Now, when performing the dip, you want to call on those good old core muscles, so that way it can stabilize you and prevent you from swinging back and forth. Keep that core engaged, it's very important. And when you're going down, focus on getting a 90-degree angle, so that way, like the push-up, your elbows are tucked in. You don't want your elbows flaring out because that will hurt your shoulder and it could cause a lot of injuries. And when you're pressing and when you're extending those arms, make sure you extend fully and focus on a full range of motion to get the best benefits. Now, if the dip is a little bit too hard for you, then I would suggest grabbing a chair or something that's elevated, putting your arms there, and then going ahead and performing this variation, which will be a little bit easier for you, and that way you can work your way to actually doing a full dip. which then leads us to the core. Starting off with the L-sit, this is a great exercise for your lower abdominals and just your core in general. Now when doing this exercise, you want to keep your hands to your side to keep you stable, and you also want to engage your core to keep your upper body straight. You also want to keep your lower body, your legs, as straight as you can. If you do have tight hamstrings, this might be a little difficult for you, but try to keep your legs as straight as possible. Then go ahead and raise up those legs as high as you can. Hold that position for about a second before going ahead and dropping them back down. If this variation is a little too difficult for you, then I would focus on doing one leg at a time. Focus on holding that one leg for about 10 to 15 seconds and then alternate to the other leg. Which then leads us to the hollow hold, which is a very simple core exercise that basically requires you to crunch over, engage that core as much as you can. You want to go ahead and keep your hands above your head. You want to raise your shoulders and your legs above the ground, and you want to maintain this position between 30 to 45 seconds. If this one is a little too difficult for you, then I would suggest focusing on the plank and holding the elbow plank between 30 seconds to a minute. Now, for each one of these exercises, I will do about 10 to 15 reps each. And if you're doing the variations, I will focus on mastering the variation before you move up and start doing the intended exercise. So try to get 10 to 15 reps on the variation, and then you can move up to actually doing the intended exercise like the push-up, the pull-up, the L-sit, the hollow hold, etc. Also, I would repeat and incorporate these exercises about 3 days a week, so that way you can strengthen these muscles, and that way you can move on to more advanced workouts or just getting more reps on the same exercises. Now that pretty much sums up the video for today. If you found it helpful, let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. I'll see you on the next one.